so long. I've been sleeping all alone. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging on the phone. I've been sleeping all alone. I wanna kiss you. Well, I've been haunted in my sleep. You've been starring in my dreams. Lord, I miss you. I've been waiting in the hall, been waiting on your call. Lord, I miss you.
Guys, that was our first sampling of what the Rolling Stones can produce, and I didn't realise that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were the only two involved in writing with the Rolling Stones on that particular track. They could be the only two that are ever involved in writing, but it's a song that I think a lot of people will know, either in passing or they're huge fans of the Rolling Stones, and this is one of their favourite songs. It's one of the really well-known Rolling Stone tracks. And as with all other pieces in this Trinity Rock and Pop 2018 syllabus, this is an interpretation of how you can play it. You can use these skills to play along with the original track, and you should once you learn the piece. So getting into it, there's a good lengthy repeat on the first page going from bar 5 all the way down to bar 20, 17, 18, 19, 20. That was a good guess. And let's talk a little bit about it. So we got our 4 on the floor, which is a really kind of rocky thing to do, opening up. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's a rock beat. And at this stage, you'll know the rock beat quite well. That this shouldn't be the challenge for you. It might be slightly bit challenging to remember where you are in the piece. So it's advisable to follow along the bars. You won't have to read bar 1 while you're playing bar 4, because bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 are all identical. So that bar, you'll know it after a couple of plays. Look at the repeat symbol on bar 7, into bar 8, into bar 9, into bar 10, into bar 11. That means when you get to the fill on bar 12, you're going to know you're at bar 12 and it won't catch you by surprise. So that's a bit of a tip there. 1 and 2 and 3, and everything in bar 12 so far is exactly the same as all the rest of the bars. The fill comes on the 4 E and 4 E and. So you can practice that a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4 E and. 1, 2, 3, 4 E and. Okay. Once you're comfortable with that, moving on to bar 13, where the chorus starts. It's the exact same groove again for 13, 14 and 15. And on 16, it's the exact same groove with open and closed hi-hats on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, if you struggle with opening and closing the hi-hats, that's normal, because if you're right-handed, that means you're right-footed usually. And that means that your strongest limb is going to be your right hand. Your next strongest limb is going to be your left hand. Your next strongest limb is going to be your right foot, and your weakest limb then is your left foot. Now, strength is not necessarily the correct word to use here, because obviously if I hit a football with my right hand and then I kick a football with my right foot, it's going to go further when I kick it, because there's physical strength existing in my leg a lot more than in my arm. I'm talking about strength with regard to fine motor skills. So the best example I can give you of that is if you write your name with your right hand and then you write it with your left hand, you can see a huge difference in the amount of control you have of your limb. Your right hand, you've got fine motor skill. Your left hand is a lot weaker. That has to do with two things. One is being right-brained or left-brained with regard to being right-handed or left-handed. So if you're right-handed, you're left-brained, and if you're left-handed, you're right-brained. It makes no sense to me past that. I haven't studied it, but I do know this, that whichever hand you're dominant in dictates your weak hand. So unless you're someone who has equal control of both hands, and you're very special if you are, you're going to have a strong hand and a weak hand. And you're going to have a strong foot and a weak foot. So for me, my weak foot's my left foot. That means it's the one that wants to play drums the least. So opening and closing the hi-hats can be quite difficult. And this little point might help you out. I was going to say a trick, but it's not really a trick. If you look at what your feet are doing when you're playing bar 16, both feet are doing the exact same thing, okay? So they're both down, basically closed and hitting on 1. They both lift up on the and. This has to lift up because it's going to hit on 2. This has to lift up because it opens. So they both do the same thing up, and then on the 2 they both close down again. On the and they both open. On the 3 they're down. On the 4, or not, on the and they're open, and 4 they're down. So all the ands are open, all the numbers are closed. But here's the point. Both feet do the exact same thing. So this is what my feet are doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you have both your feet doing the exact same thing, just copying each other basically, and then you play your quavers 1 and 2. Without thinking about it really, you've got your hi-hats opening and closing where they're supposed to. So if you're really struggling with opening and closing your hi-hats, just start with your feet as an exercise and then start counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then shadow play it 1 and 2 and 3, and then actually connect 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's a really good exercise to get comfortable playing with your left foot. It's the limb that wants to play drum the least, or the limb that has the least amount of fine motor skill. Okay, so we are on bar 16. So 17, 18, 19 and 20, the first 20 are exactly the same as the first bar. So it's repeating that same 4 and 4 groove, and that is where our repeat ends. Okay, so our repeat started at bar 5 and it ends at bar 20. So when we get to that first bar 20, right back up to bar 5 again, we play 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, exactly the same way as we did before. And when we get to 19, our next bar is the second bar 20, which is the second bar it's marked as 2. So bar 21 is marked as 1, bar 22 is marked as 2, or ending 2. So it's all the rest of the piece is what we're going to play now. So we do not play the first bar 20 again. We substitute with this second one, and that is the same groove, 1 and 2 and 3, and the fill comes on the 4, 4 and all on the snare. Okay, now we're back up with our open and closed hi-hats on the bridge, which is bar 21. So we did only have one bar to do so far of open and closed hi-hats, which is 16, but now we got a section of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so you got to practice that. First bar is clean, second bar has a little fill, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The next bar is clean, the same as 21, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we got a fill on the 24th bar as well, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All on the floor tom, and 4 and. Again, the same as 21, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for 25. Same on 26, same on 27 and 28. We got a fill, 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Sorry, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This one caught me out as I was trying to play the piece because I kept doing 4 and like I did in my demo there. So that could be like a catch point for me and not for anyone else, or that could be across the board a problem for other people. So I don't know. That could be just me having weakness around that, or it could be just a tricky one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I had to do this. 1 and and 2 and 3 and 4, and just loop it. And then I put it in the whole line from 25 all the way up to 28, and eventually got it right. Okay, and then we've got our chorus again, which is the same as our very first bar. 2, 3, there's 29, 30, 31, and then a fill on 32, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 33 is the same, 34, 35, the second last bar is 1 and 2 and 3 and 40, and so it's 3 and on the snare, 40 on the snare, and on the floor, 3 and 40, and ends on a bass and crash on 1, rest on 2, 3, 4. Okay, this was a fun piece. The explanation of it, hopefully that's cleared it up for you guys. If there's anything in this that still confuses you, just let me know, and I'll do my best to explain it for you. I'm not going to kind of talk more on it now, because I think that at this stage this piece isn't going to be the hardest thing you've got to do. So again, as I always advise, practice without the backing track, work on individual sections of it before you try and force yourself to play it with the track, because the track can force you to make mistakes, and if you keep playing past them, you don't fix them. So you got to work on it without the backing track for a while, get comfortable with that. Any questions, pop them in the comment section down below. If you like the video, please click like, because it helps upvote the video, and YouTube and Google algorithms like that kind of stuff. Engagement on videos is what they call it. So if you're watching till this far, do me a favor and either comment something or just like it or share it, or if you're not subscribed, do as well. There's like 8 out of 10 people watching the videos don't subscribe. I do more stuff like this, and I plan to do all of the grade 2 into a playlist. So if you're studying grade 2, look for my grade 2 playlist, and all of the songs, eventually, they should be at the stage you're watching this, but eventually all the songs will be in there. I'm doing them one day at a time. I'm trying to get at least one video done a day. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next piece.